Well, hello, my lovelies. It's Murky Meg here. Right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, the 12th of March, and this is my final video in the With Love Meghan series where I analyse each episode one by one and absolutely rip it to shreds in the way that I can. I must prerequisite this video with the fact that this is the best yet with regards to ripping the shit out of it. The reason why I say that is that it is an absolute stunning masterclass of love bombing. If I thought the other episodes were prime examples of love bombing, they didn't have anything on this one. She goes into overdrive, and it is so bad that it is fascinating in a psychological way. And it would be a perfect way for any psychology students who are actually studying the narcissists and how they love bomb and examples of love bombing. This would be a study case. It is that sensational. We open up the episode, which is titled Feels Like Home. This is episode 8. And she's getting ready for a party, all dolled up in her blue flowing gown. And of course, she's in her absolute element. Close-up shots on ice cubes with cucumbers and mint on them. And I'd like to add that she hasn't been taking her advice on putting distilled water into ice cubes, or to make ice cubes, to make them clearer, because these ice cubes are clearly cloudy. Quick tip, Meghan, if you're going to give advice, make sure it's actually useful and it works. Anyway, she's showing us the table, and I will go into this a little bit in detail at the final end, because that's where you see it more. We see a crudité platter, of course, and we see a bowl of yogurt that's been elevated with mint, but the fruit platter isn't in a rainbow. Tut tut, Meghan, your standards are slipping. She says it's really important if you're entertaining for a group, especially if you can do it outside, to make the process easy. Yeah, it helps if you live in a sunny climate, Meghan, but if I was to do a party outside in March in England, middle of England, it'd be a bit nippy. She says that she's having a brunch in the sunshine with people that I love, celebrating this next chapter of my life. We're in the kitchen, or whichever room this is. I don't think it's the kitchen. It must be like a utility room or something. And guess what? She's going to show us how to wrap gifts, everybody. She's going to show us how to wrap gifts. She's in her polka dot Pretty Woman polo scene outfit, and she shrills that Alice Waters is coming, and apparently she's coming to help her do the prep. She's very giddy over this. It does make me laugh that this whole series is about what a wonderful hostess Meghan is, or that she thinks she is, but that she has people over to help her do it. And it feels like maybe the production team thought that she couldn't carry this series on her own, so they need to actually partner her with other people to make it relatable. It's not relatable at all. The entire series is far from relatable. Anyway, she's showing us how to wrap gifts, and the gift that she's wrapping is for Alice, and she's brought her a book and a necklace. Okay, hold on to your hats, folks. We have another job that Meghan Markle used to do. Not content with the calligraphy, and she used to work at the yogurt shop and all sorts. Anyway, she used to apparently teach a gift wrapping class when she was an auditioning actor. And guess what? She's going to give us some tricks and tips that she thinks that we will never forget and will make gift wrapping easier forevermore. Oh, stop it, Meghan. I'm on tender hooks here. What's the most important thing to gift wrapping? Apparently it's double-sided tape. Be careful. When you have really nice quality wrapping paper, you want to save as much as you can. It's really quite desperate that she's actually showing us how to wrap a gift, a square gift. Not an unusual shaped gift, but a square gift. Yet again, treating the watcher like a toddler and not the grown-ups that we are, and that we ourselves have been wrapping presents for a very long time. She uses this weird plastic spiky flat stick to fold down the edges and get a very sharp edge, but she says you can use a credit card if you don't have one of those. You need a sharp edge when wrapping gifts. Your double-sided tape will help you here. And this is where the love bombing examples begin, because she says, I think that Alice will like these gifts, so I hope that I can become friends with her. She's never met Alice before. How do you know that the gifts that you've brought her that she will like? A necklace and a book is very personal, and it's very presumptuous to assume that you're going to become instantly friends. It was the same with the Chef Roy episode. And she was insistent that they were going to become firm friends, even though she'd never met him before. And I'm sensing a pattern here. And that pattern is that she assumes that she's universally loved by everybody that she meets, and everybody will fall in love with her. And that is what's known as love bombing. Narcissistic, egotistical love bombing. She actually gets giddy at the thought of making a new friend in Alice. So much so that she giggly pretends to ask her to her house for Thanksgiving, which is hilarious in itself because we don't know whether Alice has got anything better to do or whether or not she actually wants to spend Thanksgiving with Meghan. But Meghan thinks that's a perfectly fine thing for her in her mind to think that that's okay and to expect that. It's weird fangirling and it's uncomfortable. Alice is apparently a trailblazer in the farm to table movement. And I seriously think that that's what Meghan thinks that she wants to be. She wants to be seen as the organic, yummy, mummy, mum trailblazer for all things perfect for hostessing, straight out your garden and what you can do with it, and then give it to your guests. It's uncomfortable to watch, quite frankly. Don't fret. She's got another tip for you with regards to wrapping. You need to put flowers in the ribbon surrounding the gift. And apparently this immediately elevates it and will take you very little time. Yeah, but it's only if you're going to give it straight to the guest, because otherwise the flower will wilt because it doesn't have any water. Love is in the detail, apparently, according to Meghan. And it's new... Meghan? It's new outfit time. And she says that she's very excited because Alice is coming. Alice is here, everybody. Alice is here. And what transpires next is a perfect example of textbook love bombing. And there is no other way to describe it. And you're going to hear that word a lot in this video because there's so many examples of it. Anyway, as Alice comes into the kitchen, Meghan covers her face with her hands and says that she's so happy she's here. She acts like a giddy schoolgirl. It's the most bizarre thing that I've seen this entire series. She's proper fangirling. Alice says thank you for inviting me, and Meghan says, oh my gosh, I'm going to cry. Alice says, I've brought you a bouquet, and presents Meghan with a bunch of wild garlic. And Meghan squeals, I was going to bring you a bouquet of carrots. That's so funny. Meghan is clearly done her homework and her research because she knows exactly the type of tea that Alice likes to drink. And I find it extremely funny that she can research somebody coming around in her kitchen for her show, but she can't research the royal family or Prince Harry before she dated him. And I find that extremely telling myself. While she makes the tea, she absolutely gushes that she's thrilled. And I can't begin to tell you how happy I am that you're here, she says. She says to Alice that she's a Californian girl and you've done so much for the world, we know, but as a Californian, oh my gosh, she says. Alice talks about how her mother wasn't a very good cook, but her mother was very inspirational when it came to caring about her health. And while Alice is talking, Meghan has this sort of glazed look across her eyes because it's almost as if she's waiting for Alice to stop speaking so then she can speak. And just as predicted, she then brings it right round back on herself and says that even with me growing up, it was so much more fast food when you're on a budget. It was super affordable, but it cost you so much more in the long run. Now, I have an issue with this because she's mentioned this previously in an episode that she was a latchkey kid and it was TV dinners and fast food. Yet there's now a surfaced clip from 2016 when she was a judge on TV dinners where she says, and I quote, "This reminds me of the food I grew up on eating, which was farm to table fresh and simple ingredients." Now, which was it, Meghan? Were you farm to table fresh and simple ingredients when you were growing up? Or were you TV dinners and fast food? And a lot of people are now picking up on this very obvious, inconsistent story. And we've had so many previously. This is just the new one that's cropped up. So it was only yesterday that Catherine Ryan, who is a famous comedian who has been very supportive of Meghan Markle previously, has come out and said, I just can't with her anymore. I can't. And she mentions these two polar opposite clips of when she was a judge in 2016 and what she said on these episodes being the polar opposites. And she says that she can't seem to support that anymore because it seems like all she does is lie and not be authentic. And this is just another prime example of Meghan Markle not telling the truth, contradicting herself, not remembering what she said previously. Because remember, to be a good liar, you need a good memory. And what we do know about most narcissists, they will manipulate their truth into whatever narrative it suits with the situation that it needs. So which was it, Meghan? Did you grow up on farm to fresh, or did you grow up on TV dinners and fast food? Because you're contradicting yourself yet again. The love bombing of Alice continues, and Meghan makes it very clear to Alice as she brings out this wooden trug that it was from her garden, while saying, I think part of the ideology that I have really adopted from your cooking is what's fresh and what's growing, and what do we see right in front of us? Isn't that what most vegetable gardeners do? And that's why they grow the vegetables, so they can eat it fresh? Silly woman. Alice tells her about these Tokyo turnips that are in the wooden box and how you can eat them raw, and Meghan chimes, you're going to change my life, you already have! Love bombing, love bombing, love bombing. Alice talks about eating the food that's ripe at that particular time, and Meghan actually says, I feel like you're watching me fall in love. It's awkward, she says. I tell you what's awkward, Meghan, is seeing a narcissist at work on a TV show love bombing the absolute shit out of somebody they've only just met in full Technicolor glory. And she then says, I'm sorry, I'm blushing, it's so obvious. Meghan says that you're speaking my language, but it's the language I learned from you, even though we haven't met before. And looking at the bounty that we have in front of us, I think that for brunch, I'd love a nice quiche. And I have eggs from our chickens, so maybe whatever seasonal vegetables we have here, that sounds good. Or a nice fresh salad with a beautiful vinaigrette. Whatever you do, I want to learn from that because I think that I'm doing it in a certain way. But I know your expertise will elevate whatever it is that I'm thinking. Oh, dearie me. Classic love bombing narcissist. It's so cringy through this excessive affection, and it's almost like a overwhelming charm and coercive affection. It's superficial and manipulative. Anyway, Alice shows her how to make a vinaigrette, which is really odd because in previous episode Meghan showed her girlfriends how to make a vinaigrette. Alice talks about composting and a copper pot that she uses to compost in. And then, bringing it right round to yourself again, Meghan, she says, this is how much you've inspired me. I've heard about that and I was composting and I said, it doesn't look so enticing when you have an unattractive thing here. She's talking about the copper pot. Meghan says, well, if Alice Walters has a beautiful copper lidded pot, that's what I'm going to have. And I have one by our kitchen sink, she says. Again, fine example of love bombing. Now this is also a fun example of mirroring, and it is a narcissistic trait. And narcissists often mirror because they lack their own identity, so they must get it from somebody else. It's also a tactic that narcissists use to try and give you what you want as a way to win you over, and that ties very well in with the love bombing element. Meghan Markle is full on mirror mode because she's acting as if she's never made vinaigrette before, even though in a previous episode, as I said, she has shown her girlfriends how to make a vinaigrette, very bossily, I might add. Anyway, they pop into the garden to see what vegetables are here, even though Meghan's already presented her with a basket full of veg. But out they pop into the rented garden, and then she does this whole helpless damsel. Oh, how do you cut the lettuce? Do you do it with your hands or do you do it with secateurs? And it's fascinating to watch Meghan Markle be told what to do, knowing that Meghan Markle has previously showed us what to do in other episodes, but she's hell-bent on impressing Alice through excessive affection and overwhelming charm that she acts like a giddy schoolgirl that has no clue about this. It's actually fascinating to watch on a psychological level. Meghan says that she's very fortunate to have this garden. Well, you are, because it's not yours. It's rented, isn't it, Meghan? They go on blah, 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 how you don't need a garden. You can plant it on your windowsill. If you have a little flat in London, no idea why she specified London, or a small apartment in the city, you can just have this small piece growing on your windowsill. Anyway, we're back in the kitchen and Alice is washing the lettuce, and then she puts it on a tea towel and then rolls the tea towel up into a tube, and Meghan says, I've never seen anybody do that before. Oh, come off it, Meghan. Now you're pulling our leg, aren't you? I don't understand this woman. It's almost as if she's making herself out to be completely helpless and uneducated just so she can love bomb the absolute crap out of Alice and emotionally manipulate and become friends. Anyway, they're making a tomato quiche. Alice gushes over the eggs. We see a montage of the chickens and Meghan feeding the chickens. And she makes sure that she tells everybody that you need to give them lots of greens because that then produces yellower yolks. She's in a different outfit. She laughingly provides chickens with a frozen bowl of vegetables, and it seems like she's elevating the chicken's dinner. She blah blah blahs on about rescue chickens. Anyway, we're back in the kitchen and we're going to make a quiche with Alice. They gush over the colour of the yolks, which is highly predictable, seeing as that we've had that previous montage about Meghan and feeding the chickens. Alice is clearly sticking to the script. Alice gushes about the colour of the yolks. She says she's never seen eggs that colour. I have. I've seen eggs that colour. Maybe we have different eggs in this country. I don't know. While they're making the quiche, Meghan suggests a glass of rosé. Surprise, surprise. I do wonder whether Meghan Markle is actually going to be selling wine or champagne in her new venture, because in every single episode, booze has been very prominent and deliberate in its placement. The reason why I'm calling her Meghan Markle and not just Meghan is because she hates being called Meghan Markle, and I'm going to do it an awful lot. Anyway, they cheers over a life well lived. Anyway, they're making the quiche. The crust is already done, which is a real shame because it would have been a perfect opportunity for Meghan Markle to show us how to make pastry. Shall I show you how to make pastry on my new channel, which is going to be dropping sometime this week with my first recipe? It's not complicated as everybody makes out. You've got certain things that you need to do, but it's not complicated. It's nothing fancy. And I do actually plan to show you how to make pastry. And one of my ideas was that I was going to make a quiche. Ironic, I know. I had the idea before I saw this episode, but I'm actually going to show you how to make the pastry for the quiche, and I'm going to show you how to make sweet pastry for a Bakewell tart. I'm going to show you how to make the Bakewell tart, which is quintessentially English, and it's beautiful, it's easy to make, and I think it's a fantastic little recipe. Anyway, they make the quiche, the pastry's done, they put eggs and cream and tomatoes in it. Then she says that she'll be Alice's sous chef any day. And while Alice is kind of sorting out the lettuce, she says that, has anybody in the world been so tickled by the sight of lettuce? Anyway, Alice is lovely. I quite like Alice, but she's mixing the lettuce with her hands and she's mixing the vinaigrette into it. She takes a leaf and puts it in her mouth, then puts her hands back into the lettuce bowl and continues to mix the lettuce. I see we have another dirty girl on our hands. Meghan says, I love it, thank you. I could make salad with you for the rest of my life. The quiche is ready, and this time it looks quite cooked, rather than her previous attempts at baking when it looked completely anemic. But the thing is, they take the quiche out of the oven, and it may be the way it's edited, but it seems like they cut straight into the quiche as soon as it comes out the oven. For me personally, that's a big no-no. The quiche needs at least 15-20 minutes, if not half an hour to set. It needs to cool down slightly and firm up. You shouldn't be cutting it as soon as it comes out the oven, but that's just how I personally do it. They eat the quiche, they go, it's very nice, and Meghan proclaims that no one else needs to come. I mean, we're good. I want to sit here and eat quiche and salad with you. It just tastes like home, and I've missed California. More love bombing. She says it's been one of the most delightful days I've had in a really long time. Thank you so much, and this has been a complete treat. So we now have a new outfit and she's planning the brunch party. This is just so boring. I'm not even going to talk about it. She basically teaches you how to write a menu. And there's nothing of interest that I really want to talk about. It is that boring. The only thing of real interest is when she's writing the menu for the salad that Alice has made, and she writes Alice Waters Garden Greens, but she proclaims that it doesn't sound as impactful as it really is, and that it should say Alice Waters Magically Inspiring Garden Greens. Give it up, Meghan, love. She's gone. The love bombing can stop. Anyway, we're back in the kitchen. She makes carrot top pesto and she makes cookies with edible flowers. It's boring. It's of no real interest except the edible flowers on the cookies. These cookies look emaciated, they look anemic, and weirdly she takes them out the oven and she says that they're still a bit underdone but they'll continue cooking. That makes no sense to me. There will be a bit of residual heat from the pan, but That's why most people take them out and put them on a wire rack, but she doesn't. She shows us how to make crepes, and this doesn't make sense to me. She's making the crepes and then she's putting them out on the table, but the crepes will be cold. Personally, I don't like a cold crepe. I like a fresh hot crepe, and they're just going to be chewy and eggy by the time that their guests arrive. And you do see the crepes on the table later on in the party. I just don't get doing crepes at a party because they're going to be cold and rubbery. While making the crepes, she says that we're not in the pursuit of perfection, we're in the pursuit of joy. She puts the edible cookies, or the cookies with edible flowers, into plastic bags. Great environmentally friendly there. And it's party time! Everybody's arriving! Lots of hugs and food is out, champagne, bubbles, pop, 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 pop! Harry arrives and he makes his debut moment of the series. Dorito makes an entrance, and honestly the table of food is so mismatched. There's quiche there, roasted carrots, there's the weird cold crepes, of course there's a crudité platter, there's a big plate of bacon with edible flowers on it. She makes sure that everybody is aware that Alice Waters was here helping her prepping for lunch. Harry says, "Well done to you, great job." She says, "I just want to raise a glass to you guys. This feels like a new chapter, and I'm so excited that I get to share what I've been able to learn from you, and also thank you for the love and support. And here we go, it's a business, and that's part of that creativity that I've missed so much. So thank you for loving me so much and celebrating with me. Cheers!" Harry says to you with a very vacant look in his eye. Has he been smoking the old doobie? And that's it. It's the end of the episode, which then says, "In loving memory of Guy." I have to say, this episode, while boring as hell, was fascinating to study on a psychology level, because you really got to glimpse just how much of a narcissist Meghan Markle really is. And that's it. That's my analysis of With Love Meghan. I hope you've enjoyed the last 8 videos that I've done on this. I've hoped you've had some fun. I've hoped you've had some laughter. And I've hoped that I have opened your eyes a little bit. Now, we have got apparently 8 episodes landing in the autumn/fall. Whether or not they will actually go and air, because Netflix are getting a little bit jumpy about the terrible reviews. I suspect they will, and then that will be it. I don't think she will get another at all. So, I would like to say thank you for sticking with me. It's been a long old 8 episodes, I can tell you. This one's slightly longer than normal because I had so much to say about the actual detailing of how Meghan Markle's mind works on a psychological and deep level, and it was a classic example of how a narcissist actually works when interacting with people on clear display. Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts.
Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, and also that like button. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my followers for all the tips and all the emails, DMs that everybody sends to me. It really is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching once again.